Thank you, Pinky. As always, you're such an inspiration. Somebody just said to me, can they take a picture of me standing over there? And I went, no, I can't. I'm absolutely terrified of heights. And I've had so many experiences in my career where I've had to actually climb up to the top of buildings. The last one I did was in China. And I was asked to get into this lift which was outside the building. I was dying, and I was with all my clients, and there must have been like 50 people sort of coming up behind me, and they put me into this really rattly old thing, and I literally just was like this in the middle of it until I got up to like the 80th floor. And they kept saying, walk around the apartment, this is where, you know, all your designs are going. I'm like, I know, I've got to go back down now. I absolutely hated it. So I'm going to say right here. Look, I always come with a million notes, and then I end up just speaking from my heart, because I'm always empowered to speak to other women and men as well, but to women. And I find that I started a business at 16 and a half, and I was very lucky. I had a great upbringing. I had an incredible mother and father. My father died when I was 16, and my mother really became my mentor. She was always the one that was honest to me, the person that always told me when I was doing something wrong. Being a Leo, I hated that, but you know, you need somebody like that. And I was bullied at school, I was dyslexic, and I had problems at school, and I couldn't wait to get out there to create something and be something in business. And I love design, and it's kind of weird because I've kind of gone into business, but really and truly, my body and soul is all about design. But when you actually have a business, you have to learn and teach yourself about business as well. And so I started a business very young, and I was so passionate about what I did that it really didn't feel like work. You know, it was something that I wanted to grow. And I think in business, and especially as women, I think we have a much tougher time before we even open our eyes in the morning. We're either a wife or a girlfriend or a mother or a lover or whatever we are juggling balls. But I think we were born to actually do that. I think I've always said this whole, dispute about equality in women and men versus in business. I'm constantly asked this question, you know, what is it? You know, why is it that men are being paid more than women? And I always go back and I say, look, I don't want to get into that whole conversation. What I know is that women are brilliant in business, and I believe they're brilliant when they are women, not trying to be men. I think what we have as a great role model to other people, and why we are able to juggle things every day, is because we have this feminine quality. And I think we should embrace that, and we should use that in business, because I think having that yin and yang actually makes you better in business. And I think we're very instinctive in business. And I think that certainly growing my business over the years, of course I've had lots of things that have gone wrong. You know, people come up to me and say, oh, you know, you've done so well. Well, there are days when things go wrong. But I think that when you become an entrepreneur, you're born an entrepreneur, or in business, when something does go wrong, certainly from my own experience, I'm like, fine, boom, close that door, on to the next, because you've always got something else in your brain that you're thinking about that you want to do. Never stop thinking, never stop planning. You know, women, we love writing lists. Keep writing them all the time. And then draw a line under 4 things every day that you want to do, because you can succeed in business. But it takes a huge amount of courage to be in business and be successful when you're a woman, I believe, because I think that you have got all these other really important things. If you are a mother, being a mother is one of the most important things you can do in life. It always came first for me, but I managed to find the balance. And somebody asked me the other day, in fact, when I was talking at Women of the Future, you know, was there anything that I had to give up to become successful? And I actually remember sitting there with the panel, an amazing panel of women, and kind of being annoyed that another woman would ask me that question, only because I don't think you should ever give up something. I mean, it's not like when you go shopping, you're going to either have the shoes or the bag, is it? You're going to have both, right? You find a way to buy both. So in business, you should be able to have the love of your life. You should be able to have your children. If you have to get divorced or something happens, we survive. That's who we are. But I think it's terribly important to find a mentor, whoever you are. If you're lucky enough to have somebody that you're like a mother like I did, then that's fantastic. But I think it's important always to find somebody that you know you can talk to in business. You know, I have a great friend of mine who's a great businesswoman, and she and I have a relationship that is different to my other girlfriends in that she's always working and she has the same pressures. She's juggling all these balls left, right and centre. So I have that way to talk to her in that I can say to her, I had a damn bad day today. This happened, that happened, but you know, that's the way out and that's what I'm doing, but I'm angry. And I don't feel embarrassed that I've had something that hasn't gone wrong. So you should be very open and honest and find somebody that can help you. Tenacity. You know, tenacity is something that I'm very proud of owning. I am very tenacious, and I believe in business, no matter what business you're in, that if you're tenacious with humility, it goes a long way. And I think that you have to have self-belief. Now, from a very, very early age, and I was just saying to Pinky yesterday, I went to support anti-bullying. Princess Diana set up a wonderful foundation. And I sat there and I was kind of looking at all these kids and listening to them and listening to some of the experts from Facebook and Instagram talking about bullying. And it was weird because I suddenly realized that all our insecurities really stem from when we were at school, wouldn't you say? It's like, I know I was bullied, you feel insecure, you don't believe in yourself, you don't think you're pretty enough, tall enough, thin enough, fat enough. It doesn't matter what you are, but something has happened in your childhood. And so I was really pleased to be at this event yesterday morning to support these young kids, little kids coming up to me asking for selfies, saying, we love watching Dragon's Den. And I'm like, I just said to people, you know, are we creating this world of young, tiny children that all want to be successful? And I was saying, is that a good thing? Is it a bad thing? Don't we want our children to grow up being children and watch cartoons and play with dolls and everything else? They all seem to be getting younger and younger to want to aspire to be something famous or rich or all the rest of it. So self-belief at that very early age is terribly important. Now, some of us might not have had that, and we need to learn to believe in ourselves, because I always say, if you've got to sell something, whether you're a banker, a designer, a fashion designer, a florist, whatever it is, you have to believe what you're selling. I sell every day of my life. I've got something like 52 projects we're building around the world, and every time I do a presentation, I am selling myself. And that is what I do. And I have to believe that I can do that. And there was a saying that I started writing a business book, which I've never finished. And there was a saying I wrote, how do you sell chocolate to someone that's never tasted chocolate before? Because we all love chocolate. And I was thinking, you've got to believe enough in what you're doing in life that you can sell it on, or you can be believable enough that somebody is going to employ you. You also need determination. I'm very determined. My motto is nothing's big enough, but nothing's too big, but nothing's big enough. I'm always looking for the next fix, the next challenge, because if I did the same thing every day, I would be bored stiff. That's just who I am. So my brain is a bit like a mind map. There's one thing here, and there's an offshoot here, and an offshoot there, and two people sitting in the front row who work with me, I drive them crazy. What about this? What about that? What about this? But you start to pull it together. And I think if you have a team of people that you can get around you to support you and converse and network and not be embarrassed to have conversations like that, you can build an extraordinary business. Obviously, passion, for me, is my number one. I am truly passionate about what I do. I'm passionate about design. I'm passionate about my team. I'm passionate about my family. I'm passionate about getting up and running and going to the gym in the morning for an hour. I'm passionate about buying clothes. I'm passionate about makeup. Everything that I love to do, I'm truly passionate about it, because I've always believed if you're not, and you're in a job that doesn't fulfill you, I don't personally believe you will ever succeed to where you could in life. So if anyone in this room is at a point in their life where they think they might want to change, and believe me, when I was running my school, I had many women who were bankers and lawyers who in the recession suddenly didn't have work, and so they came to do my school for design and suddenly went into another field of business and were so enlightened and so much happier doing that. So I think that, you know, passion is very, very important, that you love what you do. I think confidence is something which is really important. And listen, as women, we all know we have our off days, at least once a month, where your confidence gets slashed, you don't feel good, no clothes fit, you know, that whole thing. But ultimately, you can flip it. I read an amazing book once, and I forget who wrote it, called Flip It, and it was all about, it was one of those books that I picked up somewhere, and it was synchronistic, just happened to be there at the right time, picked it up, read it, and then bought 50 million copies and gave it to every woman I know. And it was all about how, you know, whenever you've got a situation that doesn't, you feel like you don't know what to do with it, you can flip it. There's always a way that you can sit down and talk to yourself and turn it into a positive. There's always a way out. And being a leader like I am, I lead a group of people in my business. And I worked with a life coach many years ago, and he worked with people in business and presidents and, you know, Clinton and all these amazing people. And I said to him I wanted to do a workshop with him that I felt I had kind of got to the top of where I could ever get. And I remember being in a New York office that someone had lent us, and the first thing he said to me was, step down from where you're standing, because you're going to fall a long way. And I kind of thought, what did he mean by that? And what he said was, everyone in this room is much higher and bigger than you think you are. Because we're always putting ourselves down and always saying we're not good enough, we've got to do better. But actually, we've all achieved a huge amount. So if you accept that and you stand up there and you're proud of that, that enables you to get to the next point. And he taught me that everyone in my business should be their own boss, and there would be the Kelly Hoppen umbrella, and all the people that worked beneath that were their own boss, because he said, and I was like, no, I can't do that. No, I've got to be in control, you know. And he went, no, you will never grow a business unless you delegate and let go. You can still watch every single thing that anyone's doing, which is what I do, and you listen and hear, and you're in control. But people need to feel that they're growing and they are who they need to be. So I create this bubble in my business where, you know, on a Monday morning I go in, whether I'm feeling down, happy, sad, or whatever it is, and I'm like, hey, come on everybody, this is great, this is happening. You get everyone into this positive bubble. Because if you're leading, if some of you have businesses where you have people working for you, you are the person at the top. If I walk into my studio and I look miserable, the whole tone of the studio will go down for the rest of the day. But if I go in there and I'm like, come on, what are you doing? This is great, fantastic, thank you. We've got a problem here. How do we solve it? It's solvable. No one's died. You know, being a leader is very, very important in business. You have to be humble, but you have to be tough. And that's where I believe women have it. Because I think women can be incredibly humble, and they can be tough, and we can be quietly assertive, which I think is a lovely way of explaining the way I think women can be in business. Because we have this ability to listen. Not always, but we have this ability to listen. And I think if you listen to people, and you think before you speak, and you are a leader in your own way in your business, you can succeed hugely. And I think that in my business, having built up an interior design business, which is the mothership of my business, now I've got the .com business, which is 9-10 months alive and is beginning to make traction. Then we have the publishing, and then now Dragon's Den, and then all the charity work. There are lots of different facets of my life and my business. And one of the things that I enjoy the most when I find the time is to talk to other women, because I learn a huge amount. And I feel that certainly what Pinky has been doing with the women of the future, it is extraordinary when I was at the dinner to listen to some of these young children, and I say children because they were young, who were so incredibly they had a wonderful naivety about them, but they were so old in their souls, and that it was so lovely to see that there are people that are our future. I mean, youth is our future today, and we all need to stick together, and I think that women especially are brilliant at sticking together. I use that wonderful analogy. I'm sure most of you, I hope most of you have, and I'm not going to embarrass myself, have watched Sex and the City. Put your hands up. Thank you. Okay. I mean, do you know what? I always say, any man that wants to understand women, watch Sex and the City. That's it. You don't need to go to a psychiatrist. But you know what I love about that show? Is the way they are friends. Do you know what I mean? They could talk about anything. There was no embarrassment. There was no judgment, nothing. And I think the great thing about women in business is that, you know, we are all out there to succeed in some way or other. And we're all out there to make sure that we've got each other's backs. And I think if you can be, you know, all the things that I've talked about today, and be empowered by yourself and believe in yourself and be confident and try and find your way, that you find your niche. And I say that a lot because I meet a lot of women who say they're not really happy in what they do, but they make a lot of money. I'd rather have less money than make a lot of money and not be happy in what I do. So I think it's so important, because I believe, like a chef, if he cooks with good intention, you digest it well. If you're in a business where you're doing something that you absolutely love and adore, and you will do it so much better, and all the people around you will be empowered by that. And I think that everybody has the ability to be successful in life, in any shape or form. But I think you have to be humble with it, but at the same time, be tenacious and believe in yourself and have the confidence to succeed. And all of you are winners, and all of you will succeed. And I thank you very much for listening to me, and I hope I didn't bore you too much. Thank you very much.